Hello everybody, this is Dr. Dorothy Deka. I'm based MSPNT. So today I will talk about another topic, that is the anatomy of the internal ear or the labyrinth. The internal ear or the labyrinth is a very important organ for hearing as well as balance. It consists of two parts, that is a bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. The membranous labyrinth is filled with a clear fluid which is known as the endolin, while the bony labyrinth is separated from the membranous labyrinth by the fluid called perilymph. So first let us talk about the bony labyrinth. The bony labyrinth, it has got three parts. One is the vestibule, second part is the semicircular canals, and third is the cochlea. So let us start by one. The vestibule is the central chamber of the labyrinth. In its lateral wall lies the oval window. Then in the middle wall, there are two recesses. One is the spherical recess, which lodges the saccule, and another one elliptical recess, which lodges the utricle. Now, just below the elliptical recess is the opening of the aqueduct of vestibule, which lodges the endolymphatic duct. And we need to know that in the posterior superior part of the bony labyrinth lies the openings of the semicircular canals. And mainly there are 5 openings of the 3 semicircular canals. Coming to the second part, it is the semicircular canals. Now, the semicircular canals are 3 in number: the posterior semicircular canal, the lateral or the horizontal semicircular canal, and the superior semicircular canal. We need to know that each canal has got an ampullated end and a non-ampullated end. The ampullated ends opens individually into the bony labyrinth or the vestibule, while the non-ampullated ends, that is mainly the non-ampullated ends of the posterior and the superior canal, they combine together as one opening, which is known as the crus commune. And hence, there are 5 openings into the vestibule. The bony cochlea is a coiled tube making around 2.5 to 2.75 turns around a central pyramid of bone, which is known as the modulus. And around the modulus lies the osseous spiral lamina, which divides the entire bony labyrinth incompletely into 3 parts, and that osseous spiral lamina gives attachment to the basilar membrane. The bony bulge, which we talked about earlier in the medial wall of the middle ear, that was the promontory, which was mainly formed by this basal turn of the cochlea. Now, the bony cochlea contains 3 compartments: the scala vestibuli, the scala media, or the membranous labyrinth, and the scala tympani. The scala vestibuli and the scala tympani are filled with perilymph, and they communicate with each other through the apex of the cochlea, which is known as the helicotrap. Scala vestibuli is closed by the footplate of the stapes, which separates it from the middle ear, which is filled with air, while the scala tympani is closed by the secondary tympanic membrane or the round window, and it is also connected with the subarachnoid space by the aqueduct of the cochlea. Talking about the cochlear duct, it is a blind coiled tube, and it's also known as the membranous cochlea or the scala media, and it is actually triangular in cross section, and its 3 walls are formed by the basilar membrane, which also supports the organotic chordae, the racemous membrane, which separates it from the scala vestibuli, and the stria muscularis, which is known for the secretion of the endolin. The basilar membrane actually supports the organ of chordae, which is known as the organ of hearing. We shall discuss about the organ of chordae individually in a separate video. The cochlear duct is connected to the saccule by the ductus reunions, and the length of the basilar membrane actually increases as we move from the basal part to the apical part, and hence this is the reason why higher frequencies are heard in the basal part and the lower frequencies are usually heard in the apical, taken up by the apical region of the cochlea. Next is the utricle and the saccule. The utricle is the structure which lodges the 5 openings of the semicircular ducts, and the sensory epithelium of the utricle is known as the macula. This is responsible for the linear acceleration. Also, anterior to the utricle lies the saccule. Now, the saccule, the sensory epithelium of the saccule is also known as the macula, and this utricle and saccule both are involved in linear acceleration. And there is a duct which connects the utricle. There is the communicates the utricle to the saccule, which is known as the utriculo-saccular duct. Here is a surgical importance. Like in venous disease, the distended saccule lies against the oval window. So, in case of decompression, can be done by perforating the footplate of the stapes. The semicircular ducts are three in number and they correspond to the three bony canals. Now, the ampulated ends of the semicircular canals, they contain a thickened ridge of neuroepithelium, which is known as the crista ambularis. The semicircular canals are mainly responsible for the angular acceleration, and both the semicircular canals and the utricle and saccule plays an important role in maintaining the balance function of the body. The endolymphatic duct. The endolymphatic duct is formed by the union of two ducts from the ventricle and the saccule, and both of them combine to form the endolymphatic duct, and the other end of the endolymphatic duct is mainly dilated to form the endolymphatic sac, which is lodged in the two layers of the dura in the posterior part of the petrous bone. The endolymphatic sac is important, surgically important. It's in Meniere's disease, it is mainly exposed for shunt operations or drainage. Talking about the inner ear fluids and their circulation. So there are two main fluids of the inner ear. One is the perilymph and the other one is the endolymph. First, talking about the perilymph. Perilymph resembles the extracellular fluid and is rich in sodium ions. It fills the space between the bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth, and it communicates with the CSF through the aqueduct of the cochlea, which opens into the scala tympani near the round window. Now, there are two main sayings regarding the formation of the perilymph. The first is that it is direct filtrate of the blood serum formed by the capillaries of the spiral ligament, and the second saying is that it is a direct continuation of the CSF and which is the labyrinth by the aqueduct of cochlea. The endolymph mainly fills the membranous labyrinth. It resembles the intracellular fluid and is rich in potassium ions. It is mainly secreted by the secretory cells of the stria vascularis and also by the dark cells present in the utricle and the semicircular crista of the semicircular duct. Two main opinions given regarding its flow. One is longitudinal, that is, the fluid which is secreted flows through the utricle, the saccule, the endolymphatic duct, then the sac, and ultimately goes into the subdural space. And the second is radial, that is, it is secreted by the stria vascularis and is again reabsorbed by the stria vascularis. Talking about the blood supply of the labyrinth is mainly supplied by one artery which is known as the labyrinthine artery, and it is a branch of the anterior inferior cerebellar artery. Venous drainage is through three veins, that is the internal auditory vein, the vein of the cochlear aqueduct, and the vein of the vestibular aqueduct, which ultimately drains into the inferior petrosal sinus and the lateral venous sinuses. Thank you, everyone. So this was about the anatomy of the inner ear. If you like and interested in my videos, then you can subscribe to my channel, Dr. Otorino Laryngologist. And for any questions, you can put in the comment section. Thank you.